Cosmonaut Sergei Avdeyev joining us today. Sergei, thank you so much for your time. You are, to this day, the most recent human to spend a year or more in space, having accomplished that feat of 380 days in space between August 1998 and August 1999. What were the major highlights of that year in space and the low points of that marathon mission that you spent aboard the Mir space station?
My flight was not unique, it was not the only one. 1 year long flight, prior to my flight. Valery Polyakov flew right before me, and then there was even another flight, even earlier than that, Musa Manarov and Vladimir Titov. And each of those three super long flights was different from another one. But the previous two flights before mine were such that the crews actually knew all along that they're going to be flying a 1 year mission. In my case, it was different. Realistically, I came to know about the nature of this flight, the duration of this flight, already being on orbit, on the ground, prior to the flight. There were negotiations and discussions regarding the actual status of the Mir station program, but the decision was not made as to which sequence we're going to entertain when it comes to flying on a station. I was prepared that my flight might turn out to be a little bit longer, but I never thought that it'll be twice as long. And moreover, I came to know about that not even from the people on the ground, not from the Mission Control Center folks, but I came to know about that from the crew that arrived on orbit to replace my first half of the expedition. Namely, it was French cosmonaut Jean-Pierre Aigneret, and he told me, French space agency was thinking to fly for about a month, but recently, all of a sudden, it turned out that it's going to be a full-blown flight, 6 months. And that was the difference between my flight and the flights that took place earlier, and the one that is coming up soon.
For those of us here on Earth who are not astronauts or cosmonauts, spending a year in space seems to be a very daunting task. How challenging was your mission of spending a year or more in space, and how much of your mission was designed to acquire information about the long-duration effect of weightlessness on the human body?
When it comes to impact of the weightlessness on a human body, probably the mankind knows like 80% of what the entire amount of information that is available. The information is still being gathered. The analysis is still going on. It's underway. Even the results of my flight are under assessment even now. As for the singularities and peculiarities of this flight, as far as what recommendations I can give to cosmonauts and mostly management, people who are in charge of developing those programs, it's necessary to be extremely conscientious about several problems. When it comes to pure physiology, we every day exercise. We run physical exercises. We stretch muscles. We take care of our bones. And over the course of 1 year, we are supposed to stay fit, which is not an easy task. You may get tired. You just may hate the idea of exercising, and you are sort of forced to skip a training session. Next time, you may feel totally different. You might be so energetic, you're gonna get in there
Если вы растянете мышцы,
right then, and as a result, you may damage your muscle, for instance, and it's going to take a month for this
а это еще
to heal, which makes the overall situation even worse.
Поэтому в этом плане нужно
So in this regard, it's necessary to be extremely
провалов не было.
reasonable
Это первое.
and rational.
Второй аспект.
Another aspect
Социально-психологический.
is socio-psychological.
Космонавты, которые
In fact,
летают
cosmonauts
в космос,
who fly to space,
воспринимается вся вот эта
they
последовательность таким образом,
accept
что
the entire
за,
sequence
условно,
of
за месяц до
events
старта огромное количество
prior
людей
to flight
контактирует с
in such a
экипажем,
way that
и,
a month
готовят,
before
разные
there is a
аспекты,
huge crowd of
эксперименты,
people that
какие-то
surrounds the
праздники,
crew
какие-то
members at all times. There are
еще что-то, еще что-то.
festive
По мере
atmosphere,
приближения к
press conferences.
посадочному люку в
But
ракету,
the closer they get to getting on a rocket, the fewer people have an access to the crew.
в конце концов,
And at the very end,
посадка,
they
заседание главной комиссии,
go
которая
through the
определяет,
meeting of
куда
the
экипаж полетит.
government
Это уже за
commission,
стеклом.
and then they get into a suit-up area
Семья,
where they don the
после
spacesuits,
этого переодевание в скафандре, там уже остается
and then
только, хорошо,
only
два члена
two
экипажа сейчас.
crew members
И
sit
тут
right
только
next to
человек,
each
который
other,
закроет
and
люк.
eventually the last person
Но
who
на самом деле,
closes
как
the
я
hatch
говорю,
behind them.
полет начинается
So
не в
the
момент
actual
старта,
flight never
а
starts
задолго до того,
when
когда
the rocket
человек,
blasts off,
погруженный в подготовку,
but
он
way
отдаляется
prior,
от всего,
when the
что
person who
происходит
is
в
so
стране,
much
в мире
immersed
вообще. Он
and
занят
submerged
конкретно
in the
полетом.
training, he gets oblivious to what is going on
Потом он
around
взлетел.
him.
Представьте
And then he
себе наоборот.
flies up,
И обращаюсь, собственно говоря, не столько
and
даже к
I
космонавтам,
could talk about
одному
crew
из
members participating in this flight, but I wanted to say a couple of words about the crew on the ground that supported that
полет,
flight.
по
It
программе
was the
«Евромир
flight as part
95»
of the program
занимал
Euromir
полгода. Классика.
95.
Но
It
он
was supposed to last
отличался
6
от
months,
всех
but it
предыдущих
was
полетов
different
тем,
in a
что
sense
мы
that
впервые
for the first time
начали
we've started
работать
working
на полный срок
with our
с
foreign
иностранными
partners,
нашими
foreign
космонавтами
cosmonauts,
наравне.
in an equal kind of manner, in a reciprocal
Изначально
manner.
готовился
And Thomas
не
Reiter
на 2 недели,
was
не на месяц
getting
работал
ready
вместе с нами,
to
а
fly
на
with us for the entire amount of time, not for 10 days, not for 2 weeks, but for 6 months.
полгода.
And at the
При
same
этом при
time,
всем
Walter
Вальтер
Peters,
возглавлявший
who was the head of this program on behalf of European Space Agency. Currently, he is the rector of Strasbourg Space University. He
он
was thinking
продумывал
through
этот полет
every
до
single
деталей.
tiny detail
Причем
of this
эти
flight,
маленькие,
like
казалось бы,
very
детали
minor
для
thing,
нас
and those
являлись
minor things all of a
большим
sudden
событием.
used to turn out very big for us. For instance, he found a pair of glasses,
Вот он нашел
very interesting
интересные
glasses,
очки,
and he bought them off the shelf at a regular, ordinary store. But if you look in a window in these glasses, they get darker.
были
The lenses get
изготовлены
darker.
специально для полета,
Then he
удобные
designed
жилеты.
a
У нас
special
не было
vest for the
с
crew
маленькими
members
карманчиками.
with
Этот
smaller
карманчик должен быть здесь, а
pockets,
этот вот здесь. А
with
здесь
different
великро
types
такое,
of
здесь великро такое, для
Velcro,
нашего
and it
удобства.
was all done for
Они
convenience of the
провели
crew.
две акции,
They
которые я до
also
сих пор помню.
conducted two different events that I still remember.
Мы встречаем
On orbit,
год,
with their help, we
сначала
managed to
каникулы
celebrate
в
New Year
Европе,
because
25
this
декабря
period is
начинается,
very
потом Новый
festive.
год,
It's
потом наше Рождество, ну и так далее. Две
Christmas,
недели,
New
можно
Year's,
сказать, без
Orthodox
такой
Christmas, so it's a
напряженной
stretch of
работы,
holidays that equals 2 weeks. And all of a sudden we receive a gift, which was delivered by the cargo vehicle, progress vehicle.
В нем
And in this gift there is a disc with the recording,
записью
basically a video,
поздравлений, также вот с помощью камеры записали.
And this video was shot on the ground and delivered to us on orbit.
Европейцы, которые
And
работают
it
в
came from
Лондоне,
Europeans, from ground personnel, from Cologne, all kinds of different places, Mission Control Center,
которые работают на наш
all
полет.
working in support of our flight, including Strasbourg, by the way, and
Все
all
сотрудники,
personnel
участвующие в
involved in this effort in
обеспечении
flight
полетов,
support
поздравляю
extended
нас.
their congratulations to
Забирались на
us.
крыши
They used to
зданий,
fly
какие-то
up the
там
roofs of the
желтые
buildings.
шарики
There were
запускали.
fir trees, there
В
were
этом же
colorful
фильме
balloons,
семья
and it was all magnificent. Also, we received congratulations from our families, which also turned out to be very instrumental in being able to support each other and create required rapport between the crew members.
Это уникальный полет. Я хотел бы пожелать,
And I would like to wish that the upcoming flight of Mikhail Kornienko and Scott Kelly
прошел
would be just as successful and would be momentous not only for the crew members, but also for the entire flight support personnel on the ground.
With their upcoming launch, Scott Kelly and Mikhail Kornienko will soon embark on spending a year aboard the International Space Station. This is the first such mission of that duration since yours. What are your thoughts on their flight to gain modern-day biomedical data for that period of time and the benefit that that data will yield, with the ultimate goal being a trip to Mars, perhaps?
Ну, я отвечу мнением.
In order to answer this question, let me give you the opinion of one of our medical doctors, the Russian medical doctors, experts. They, on several occasions, they used to state, and last time around, by the way, I heard this opinion back in Houston at the Rice University as part of the medical summit. And they used to say, and they say it now, that we should not expect anything new from the purely medical standpoint. We have the flight of Musa Manar Vladimir Titov, we have the flight of Valery Polyakov, we have my flight, 4 flights altogether, tell us that from the medical standpoint we shouldn't be expecting any breakthroughs. But this is the opinion of one single medical doctor. Let him be just a physiologist, but there is also physiology, there is also psychology, there is also sociology, there is also a concept of flight control, there is a concept of reasonable performance of the Mission Control Center, and there's very many different tiny subtleties and nuances that we should be striving to get compared to what we used to have in the past, and that's what my cut is on that.
And finally, Sergei, what, in your opinion, would be the most significant challenge to accomplishing a mission to Mars, both from a physical and technical standpoint? Is a mission to Mars feasible if you had all the money in the world to do it? Is it still feasible?
All projects that I have seen regarding the flight to Mars, if we go back to this trinity, physiology requires technical means which are, figuratively speaking, model our planet, the Earth, our huge planet. Just for 2, 3, or up to 10 crew members. But it's just a replica. We need to be just as the planet of Earth. The crew needs to be protected from radiation. The crew, just as planet of Earth, is supposed to be having magnetic field. Because the crew, the humankind, have to be protected by the magnetic field. So basically what we're going to be flying to Mars is a spacecraft called the Earth, which is very complex from every aspect.
Cosmonaut Sergei Avdeyev, thank you so much for your time and insight today. We appreciate it very much, and good luck to you too. Thank you.
For pleasure. best wishes for this flight for all colleagues who help them to work 1 year in International Space Station.
Yuri, Sergey, and Thomas, it has been wonderful to see you again, to work with you and fly with you. The Russians, I think it's most difficult to say goodbye, and the Russians have a much better expression, which is "до свидания." Until we see each other again, even better, "до скорой встречи." So soon.
Станция, которую мы через некоторое время покинем, отстыковавшись от нее нашим кораблем, остается в хорошем состоянии. И это, честно говоря, просто приятно говорить. И для всех желающих, кто хочет здесь поработать, условия мы оставляем самые благоприятные. Вот мы постарались.
Tu vas choisir la deuxième séance. Écoute, j'aurais pas dit ça comme ça, mais enfin on peut. Et après toujours là, Lionel, je te croyais dans l'avion, moi déjà. Alors Lionel, permets-moi de te dire que nous avons goûté une excellente bouteille de Savigny les Beaunes, Simon Bis, c'est aussi bon en bite, je crois.